They laughed right to my face when I pitched the plan. My own sister called it a waste of air, and my parents? They nodded like I deserved it. Hi, I'm Arden. For years, I lived like a footnote in a family that treated erasing me as strategy, not accident. But guess what? Weeks after they humiliated me, their company almost burned to the ground, and they came running, begging for my help. Have you ever been so underestimated that your silence became your sharpest weapon? Tell me, if the people who cut you out suddenly needed your voice to survive, would you pick up the phone? Let's rewind to the moment I walked out of that house, with nothing but my bag and my plan. You call this ambition? No wonder you're the family's biggest joke. The words echoed through the glass conference room, louder than they needed to be. The big family meeting, the strategy summit, as Camille called it, looked more like a firing squad with me at the wrong end. The entire Shipley family crowded around the polished table, eyes darting between me and the oversized monitor glowing with the slides I'd spent the last 3 weeks building. Briar sat at the head, perfectly postured, a smirk playing at the edge of her lips. She was already recording, I could tell. Her phone screen glowed with a telltale red. My voice was steady, almost detached. If we leverage our existing tutoring clientele and scale with an online platform, our margins could triple within 18 months. I've mapped out the UX, and I'm ready to prototype. Briar cut me off with a sharp laugh, tossing her hair like she was auditioning for a shampoo commercial. Did you steal that from some webinar, Arden? Or is this another big idea you'll leave unfinished? A ripple of laughter spread around the table, half resentful, half relieved that someone else was in the crosshairs. My father, Gareth, didn't look up from his notes, but I saw his jaw tighten. Camille leaned forward, fingers laced tight, her rings glinting. Honey, this is not the time for daydreaming. The family business needs real solutions, not whatever this is. I kept my eyes on the slide. Market expansion plan. The words blurred a bit, but I didn't blink. We're losing clients to digital-first companies. If we don't pivot, we'll be obsolete in 3 years. I can do this if you just... A chorus of groans and mocking sighs cut me off. Briar was live streaming now. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what a crisis of imagination looks like, she declared, turning the camera toward me. Maybe Arden just wants attention. She's been failing upward since college. A few cousins tittered. Uncle Remy, always eager to be on the winning side, added, I mean, at least Briar has the guts to take charge. Arden, what exactly have you ever finished? Heat rose in my cheeks, but I kept my jaw locked. My slide deck seemed to pulse on the screen, ignored and alone. I tried again, quieter this time. If you'd let me walk you through. Camille cut me off, voice icy. Enough. You're wasting everyone's time. Maybe you should focus on getting a real job instead of chasing projects that never pan out. My hand gripped the edge of the table. I have a real job. I built the SAT curriculum you're still selling, by the way. Briar snorted. Built? Please. You tinkered. We finished. A wave of laughter, hard, brittle, filled the room. Someone in the back lifted their phone, catching the moment as if I were some animal at the zoo finally doing something amusing. It would be on the family group chat before I reached the door. I looked up and scanned the faces, some gloating, others awkward, a few just hungry for blood. Even Gareth, usually the silent mediator, said nothing. Well, Briar pressed, her voice dripping with mock encouragement. Any last words, Arden? I swallowed. The room felt colder, tighter, like the walls had slid closer. For a second, I saw myself reflected in the glass, the only one standing, the only one not laughing. I met Briar's eyes. Laugh now, I said quietly but clear enough for every phone to catch it. But I promise you'll remember this day. A hush dropped over the table. Briar's mouth opened, then closed. Camille fidgeted. Someone's phone chimed in the silence. I didn't wait for their response. I closed my laptop, slid the USB into my pocket, and turned to leave. The room parted for me, but no one reached out. I heard a whisper as I passed a younger cousin. Told you she'd crack. At the door, I paused. The old Shipley clock on the wall flicked to 9:11, a tiny, sour omen. I glanced back just once and saw Briar aiming her camera at my retreating back, eager to capture the moment of defeat. But it wasn't defeat. Not this time. The elevator ride down felt endless. My heart pounded, but my mind was cold. At the ground floor, I stepped outside. The early evening sky stretched wide and blue-gray, the kind of sky that promises either a storm or a clearing. As I crossed the marble lobby, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. They're not just laughing. They're about to steal everything. I stopped short. For a moment, I felt the old ache of betrayal swell in my chest, but then something hardened. No more hoping they'd see my worth. No more waiting for a seat at their table. This time, I'd make my own. And as the glass doors closed behind me, the laughter echoing in my ears, I promised myself they could erase me from their stories, but I'd write my own, and they'd have no choice but to remember my name. I didn't cry when I walked out of that conference room. I didn't scream either. I just walked, and when the doors closed behind me, the quiet felt heavier than the noise I left behind. But it wasn't until I saw the headline the next morning that the burn truly started. Youth CEO Briar Shipley unveils revolutionary digital learning expansion plan. A subheading followed. Success Academy 2.0. The future of education begins with family. I stared at the article, scrolling down to see the photo. There she was, Briar, standing in front of a projector, beaming like she'd solved the education crisis. My slides, my concept structure, my exact damn timeline printed on the board behind her. Only my name wasn't anywhere. They hadn't just laughed at me. They'd stolen me. I opened the live stream recording and skipped to the part where she gestured to the screen. This innovation is the future of our family legacy, she declared. It's time we stopped clinging to outdated systems and moved forward with bold, scalable solutions. Then she turned dramatically to the audience, pausing just long enough for the cameras to catch her profile. I'm proud to say this was built from scratch, in-house, with a vision only this family could deliver. The audience clapped. A reporter called out, "Did you design the platform personally?" Briar smiled. Every detail, every decision. I've lived this system. My chest tightened. A pain bloomed, slow, familiar. I'd been erased before. Quietly, subtly. But this was warfare. The comments on her video were glowing. Briar's vision is unmatched. She's gonna save education. A real disruptor. Watch out, Silicon Valley. Meanwhile, my inbox was a wasteland. No missed calls. No emails. Nothing but a single anonymous message from the night before. They're not just laughing. They're about to steal everything. I stared at it again now, my thumb hovering over the screen. Then it buzzed. New message. Check the metadata. Slide 12. She forgot to scrub it. I froze. Without thinking, I reopened the press kit Briar's team had distributed, clicked on the downloadable presentation file, and opened the file details. Scroll. And there it was. Author, Arden Shipley. Created 3 weeks ago. Modified by B. Shipley. She hadn't even changed the file name. My mouth went dry. The evidence was there. Clear. time-stamped, digital fingerprints, and she handed it out like a trophy. Have you ever had your work stolen and your name erased like you never existed? That moment when the truth is sitting in your hands, but no one's listening yet? If you've ever had to watch someone else get credit for what you built, comment the number 7 below. Now, let's see what I do with the proof she's just found. I opened my laptop and pulled up the full archive I had saved: sketches, iterations, audio notes. I had the entire framework. The framework they'd mocked. The framework they were now monetizing. In the corner of the screen, a chat bubble appeared. User, Raven Signal. Wanna fight this? I can help. I blinked. I hadn't seen that username in years. Who is this? Let's just say I remember what they did to you at Tech Fair 18. Why are you helping me? Because I hate intellectual thieves. Especially the glossy, smiling kind. I hesitated only a second. What do you need? Access to your original files. And your permission to dig. Permission granted. That evening, I sat at the edge of my cramped studio apartment. Lights off. The glow of my screens pulsing like a heartbeat. I watched the likes roll in on Breyer's posts. Trailblazer. Icon. Visionary. They didn't know, but they would. A sharp knock pulled me out of the spiral. I opened the door to find a courier. Package for Arden Shipley. No return address. I signed, shut the door, and tore it open. Inside, a flash drive and a single note. Thought you'd want this before she erases the rest. I plugged it into my laptop. Dozens of files. Internal emails. Video footage of the original family meeting, unedited. The part where I pitched. The part where they laughed. The part where Breyer leaned over and said, I could sell that if you weren't so damn awkward. They were planning this. Even before they humiliated me. Now I had proof. I couldn't sleep. I opened my phone and began drafting a post. I didn't name names. Not yet. Just a simple screenshot. The file info showing my name as the original author. Caption. When the loudest ones forget to cover their tracks. It went up at 2:17 a.m. By 6 o'clock, it had over 3,000 shares. By 7:30, I was trending. Hashtag, whose idea? The comments began to shift. Wait, did she really steal this? Why does the original author say Arden Shipley? I thought Breyer made this herself? Then one hit like a lightning strike. At MS Prissy. I took SAT prep from Arden 2 years ago. That's her work. I've seen those slides. She saved my future. The thread exploded. Dozens more chimed in, students, co-workers, even a former intern. I refreshed. Again. My phone buzzed nonstop. The screen lit up the dark room, flashes bouncing off the cheap white walls like lightning in a bottle. My hands were still, but inside I was trembling, not from fear, from clarity. And then a ping. New email from Camille. Subject, take this down before it ruins your sister. No greeting. No apology. You've made your point. Don't drag the family into this. Think about the consequences. I laughed. Out loud. She wanted me quiet. Again. But the funny thing about silence? Once you break it, it doesn't come back. I typed only one word. No. I always thought revenge would feel like fire. But that morning, it felt like ice. Cold. Clear. Unshakable. I sat at the cafe near 5th and Lenox, the one with terrible coffee and fast Wi-Fi. My laptop screen glowed with rows of files, names I hadn't seen in years. I wasn't working off memory now. I had receipts, timestamps, version histories, drafts with my voice explaining features they had no idea how to build. Across from me, tucked into a hoodie and sipping his triple espresso like it was water, sat Raven Signal. His real name was Malik, but no one called him that anymore. He tapped the trackpad and raised an eyebrow. You kept everything. I nodded. They never thought I would. His fingers moved quickly, linking cloud data, verifying IP addresses. They didn't even proxy this stuff. Classic amateur move. You're sitting on gold. A notification popped up. Raven Signal leaned in. Camille's lawyer just filed a complaint. They're accusing you of libel and misappropriation. I smiled. Good. That meant they were scared. You want to go public? He asked. Not yet, I replied. I want them to sweat. I want them to question every click, every headline, every person they think they still control. He grinned. You've changed. I stared at the screen. I'm just awake now. That night, I created a series of anonymous burner accounts, each one loaded with proof. I didn't post them directly to Breyer's pages. I posted them in the places her investors watched. Startup forums, angel groups, tech EDU panels. Each post was calculated. Metadata, design overlays, time-lapse edits showing the original design in my voice, morphing into hers. And I ended every post the same way. We deserve better than recycled brilliance in stolen skin. The responses poured in fast. Wait, wasn't this Arden's project? This design isn't even new. I saw it at her workshop a year ago. This smells like a takedown waiting to happen. By morning, #JusticeForArden was trending in 3 regions. My phone buzzed nonstop. On the screen, comments scrolled like a slot machine of justice. Then came the one that made my breath catch. At Dr. Lizette Unfer. This isn't Breyer style. I remember Arden presenting this concept in my graduate seminar 2 years ago. Even the sample interface is identical. The thread exploded. Shares. Reposts. Screenshots. The glow of my laptop screen illuminated my face in the otherwise dark room. I caught my reflection in the monitor. Eyes sharp, jaw clenched, a slow-breathing storm. Ding. New message. I drafted a short email to one of Breyer's newest investors, someone I'd researched for days. A woman named Victoria Nguyen, known for pulling out of shady deals fast and hard. Subject line. Due diligence, you missed something. I didn't attach anything. Just a Dropbox link. And one sentence. If transparency matters, start here. 2 hours later, I got a ping. Victoria's assistant wanted a call. I gave them 10 minutes, just enough to show the essentials. My versions, my voice notes, a calendar invite sent from my email 6 weeks ago that Breyer had forwarded to herself. Victoria didn't say much, but her face said everything. I don't know how you stayed quiet this long, she said softly. I'd have burned it down. I looked her in the eye. I'm not done building the match. That night, just before midnight, my phone lit up again. Private number. I picked up without speaking. A second passed. Then, you think you're smart, huh? Breyer. Her voice had that high-pitched edge, like a balloon stretched too tight. You're going to ruin everything we've built. No, I said. I'm just telling the truth. You always had to be the victim, she spat. Congratulations. The internet believes you. For now. You always needed a spotlight. I just made sure the lights were real this time. She didn't reply, just exhaled sharply and hung up. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. The soft clack of keys echoed in the quiet. Outside, a dog barked, far away. The cursor blinked in rhythm with the tightness in my chest. And I typed the last line of my next release. Soon they'll stop asking if it was mine. They'll start asking why you lied. The next morning, Camille called. No hello. No how are you. Just, you need to stop. I leaned back in my chair. Or what? This is family, Arden. This doesn't have to go public. It already is public. Then let us handle it internally. You've made your point. No, I said. You haven't even begun to feel the point. She exhaled. You're bitter. I get it. I laughed once. No, you don't. And I hung up. By the end of the week, Breyer released a carefully worded video. A blurred backdrop. Soft lighting. Tears that didn't fall. I want to apologize, she began. There's been confusion about where our latest product came from. I deeply respect all contributors, including my sister. I clicked pause. Malik was already screen recording. This is damage control, he muttered. She's panicking. She should, I said. The video backfired instantly. The comment section turned fast. This isn't an apology. This is gaslighting. You respect your sister, but deleted her name from everything? Where's the actual accountability? Someone dug up the old live stream from the family meeting. The one where she'd mock me publicly. It went viral again. Every eye that once looked past me was now staring directly at her. And then came the call. Victoria Nguyen's firm had pulled out. Success Academy's valuation dropped 40% overnight. Breyer's email to her board leaked, riddled with panic, denial, and one damning sentence. I never thought Arden would fight back. That was the moment I knew. This was no longer about just clearing my name. This was war. They said I was bitter. They said I should let it go, that family didn't deserve this kind of public shaming. But if someone lights your house on fire, do you really owe them silence just because you share a last name? The morning I went live, my palms weren't sweaty. My voice didn't shake. I had everything I needed. The truth, the proof, and a world finally paying attention. The setup was simple. One chair, one mic, a matte black backdrop with a single line etched behind me in white vinyl. Truth will out. Malik sat behind the camera, eyes narrowed, watching every light and frame like we were launching a moon landing. You sure about this? He asked. I'm not here to be sure, I replied. I'm here to be seen. We went live at 10:02 a.m. Within 5 minutes, there were over 11,000 viewers. Within 10, the chat was racing so fast I couldn't read it. I started slow. This won't be a viral sob story, I said, meeting the lens like it owed me something. It's not a revenge rant either. This is just what happens when someone erases you and you decide not to disappear. Then I laid it all out. I shared the earliest drafts. The voice memos from 6 months ago where I described the diagnostic interface I had designed. The slide progression where my titles, my content, and even my color palette were copied pixel for pixel. Side by side. Timestamped. Labeled. Legally authenticated. Then came the emails, ones forwarded from Breyer to Camille, subject lines like scrub Arden's metadata before investor deck. And the one from Camille to the PR firm. We need to shift public focus. Position Breyer as innovator. Arden's involvement is not strategic. The chat exploded. The comments screamed, "This is insane. That email is brutal. They planned this." And then I played it. The raw, unedited footage of the family meeting. The one Breyer never thought would see daylight again. I didn't even narrate it. I let their laughter speak for itself. The moment Breyer mocked me. The moment Camille told me I was a waste of time. The moment my father said nothing. The silence after that clip ended was louder than any scream. I leaned into the mic. I don't need you to cancel anyone, I said. This isn't a takedown campaign. This is a reality check. And sometimes, the truth screams loudest when you stop asking permission to speak. The chat went berserk. People clipped it. Memes started within minutes. One had Camille's quote, "Arden's involvement is not strategic," over a picture of me in front of the backdrop with the word CO stamped in red across it. An hour later, I was on the front page of Reddit, top trending on Twitter. My old SAT students were tagging me, posting screenshots of sessions we'd done together. She's the reason I got into college. This woman gave me the courage to apply. I never even knew she had a sister. Then came the headline. Success Academy plunges after whistleblower drops evidence. Breyer's video apology hadn't been enough, and now it looked like a lie. A reporter caught up with her outside a conference event later that day. The footage went viral, Breyer shoving past the mic, her hand covering her face. No comment, she muttered, but her voice cracked. That night, I got an email from the PR agency that had handled Breyer's campaign. No subject line. No greeting. Just a single line. We're terminating our contract with Shipley Holdings effective immediately. Below that, attached, was the leaked crisis doc Camille had requested just days earlier. It was full of buzzwords. Control the narrative. Minimize Arden's exposure. Frame as family misunderstanding. They didn't even call me a person. Just exposure. Malik read it over my shoulder. They don't get it, do they? They're still trying to win a PR war, I said, and I'm already playing for legacy. Around midnight, Camille tried again. Another email. This one longer. Subject. Let's meet. She suggested a coffee shop. Somewhere quiet. Neutral ground. A tone shift, less arrogant, more tired. My reply was even shorter than her message. Not until you admit what you did. She never wrote back. The next morning, Success Academy's website went down. The back end, the front page, the login portal, offline. I didn't do it. Malik didn't either. But someone had scraped the public archive and uploaded a searchable folder of all assets stolen from Arden Shipley to a public drive. It had gone viral on TikTok within hours. At the top of the folder, a video compilation titled, "This is what erasure looks like." And I hadn't uploaded a single second of it. That was the power of receipts. You don't have to scream when the truth does it for you. The email came in at 4:47 a.m. Subject: Proposal. Confidential. Immediate response required. I didn't need to open it to know what it was. Camille's tone had shifted again. She'd gone from indifferent to rattled to something colder, professional desperation. I opened it anyway. The message was surgical. A proposed settlement. 6 figures. Full rights and name restoration. In exchange, complete silence. No interviews. No social media. No public appearances tied to the brand. And above all else, a permanent NDA. We acknowledge past misunderstandings, the email read, but for the health of the family, we ask that all parties move forward with dignity and discretion. There was again, that word they love to throw at me, discretion. Funny how they only asked for it when the damage was theirs. I scrolled to the bottom. Attached, a meeting invite. Private. Neutral venue. Mediation room at a law firm downtown. 10 a.m. sharp. I almost didn't go, but I needed to see their faces. The conference room smelled like lemon cleaner and cold ambition. The blinds were shut. The lighting was artificial, casting everything in that bland corporate beige. They were already seated when I walked in. Camille, hands clasped tightly on the table. Gareth beside her, eyes hollow like he was somewhere else. And Breyer, fresh-faced, as if she hadn't been publicly eviscerated less than a week ago. She looked at me like I was late to my own apology. You made your point, Camille began. I sat down, didn't reply. Gareth cleared his throat. This has gone far enough. I tilted my head. Has it? Breyer jumped in. We're offering a fair solution, Arden. You'll get full credit, compensation, and your name back. My name never left, I said calmly. You buried it. Breyer rolled her eyes. This doesn't have to be personal. You made it personal when you erased me. I cut in. Now it's just public. The mediator coughed softly. Let's focus on resolving. I opened the folder in front of me, flipped through the NDA. It was 12 pages of silence. 12 pages that said, "You can have your dignity as long as no one hears about it." "Tell me something," I said, looking straight at Briar. "If I sign this and disappear, does it bring back the trust you broke?" Silence. Camille leaned forward. "Arden, you're angry. We get it." "No, you don't," I said. "If you did, you wouldn't have needed a $sign to try and shut me up." "We're trying to protect the family," Gareth said finally. "You mean your image?" The tension crackled like dry air before lightning. Then Briar snapped. "You think this makes you some kind of hero? You're not. You're a vindictive brat who got lucky with timing." I stood up slowly. "No. I'm someone who stopped begging to be seen." She stood, too. "Don't act like this wasn't about attention from the start." I smiled. "Attention?" I said. "You broadcasted my humiliation to your followers. I just made sure they remembered it." I slid the NDA back across the table. "Keep your money," I said. "I'm not for sale." Have you ever been offered silence in exchange for your dignity? That twisted deal where they pretend fairness, just so the truth stays buried? If you've ever walked away from something big just to protect your name, comment the number 9 below. Now, watch how my refusal becomes the spark they didn't see coming. Camille exhaled sharply. "Then we'll have no choice but to explore legal options." "Go ahead," I said. "I have evidence. You have nothing but fear and a crumbling company." The mediator tried to salvage the room. "Perhaps we reconvene." "I'm done here," I said, walking to the door. Before I left, I looked back at Briar. "You erased me to protect your brand, but now my voice is the only one anyone believes." I didn't slam the door. I didn't need to. The sound of silence behind me said enough. Back home, I brewed tea and opened my laptop. Notifications flooded in. News outlets covering the failed settlement. One headline read, "Shipley daughter rejects hush deal, calls out family corruption." Another, "Arden Shipley declines settlement offer. I'm not for sale." Even the journalist who'd first covered Success Academy weighed in. Her tweet, "Arden didn't demand attention. She demanded truth. And she never raised her voice to do it." By midnight, a video clip from the meeting, leaked somehow, circulated online. It showed Briar calling me vindictive, and me replying, calm and clear, "You erased me to protect your brand. Now my voice is the only one anyone believes." It went viral. Again. I hadn't recorded it. Someone in that room had. Whether it was the mediator or a legal aid, I didn't care. The truth had its own network now. And the truth was done whispering. The sunlight hit different that morning. No buzzing in my chest, no storm in my stomach. Just a steady, unfamiliar kind of stillness. I sat in my new office, tucked on the top floor of a co-working building in East Austin. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. A modest plaque on the door read, "Arden Shipley, Founder, Legacy Learning Initiative." The window overlooked a community garden and a middle school across the street. Down below, a group of students lined up for a workshop I was about to host. My first in-person seminar since the storm broke. I looked around. A worn corkboard covered in hand-drawn thank you notes from students. A standing desk cluttered with lesson plans. And beside my monitor, taped carefully to the wall, were 3 things. The original draft of my interface. The media headline, "She didn't raise her voice, she raised the bar." And a note that simply read, "You're not invisible anymore." The door creaked open. Mila peeked her head in, holding 2 coffees. "They're all here," she whispered, smiling. "Even some walk-ins. The seats are full." I stood, smoothing down my blouse. "You ready?" She nodded. "You?" I gave a small smile. "Always." We walked into the seminar room to a round of applause. Some were familiar faces, former students, collaborators, teachers who once thought I was just the quiet one in the back row. Others were strangers who had seen the story and wanted to learn from someone who'd survived being erased. I opened the session with a line I never thought I'd get to say. "You don't have to beg for a seat at their table," I told them. "You can build your own and make it bigger." Laughter. Applause. The kind that warms instead of stings. We moved into an open discussion. For the first time, I just listened. One student stood up. Her voice trembled. "I was dropped from a robotics project last semester because the lead said I talked too passionately. Like, I was embarrassing the team. You made me feel like maybe I wasn't wrong for wanting more." Someone else followed. A boy in a green hoodie said, "You gave me back my name. They used to call me a shadow because I never pushed back. Now I know quiet doesn't mean invisible." By the time the third student spoke, the room was silent. Only the sound of pens tapping nervously, of voices unshaking for the first time. I looked at them, eyes raw, full of the kind of hunger you can't fake. The hunger to belong. The hunger to matter. And I said what no one ever told me. They can cut your mic. They can crop you out of the frame. But they can't delete the work if you leave your signature. The applause wasn't instant. It rose like a wave, slow, then crashing. Mila caught my eye. I nodded. It was time. After the workshop, while collecting feedback sheets, I noticed a familiar logo on one envelope. The National Future Ed Foundation. I opened the letter. "Miss Shipley, we've followed your journey with awe. We'd like to invite you to co-design our next national curriculum pilot. Your methods echo what education forgot. Authenticity." I exhaled. Not relief, just recognition. Later that afternoon, I got the call. Breyer's site had officially shut down. According to the press, Success Academy was voluntarily absorbed into a nonprofit education network. Translation: sold off for scraps and reputation rehab. Camille made no comment. Gareth issued a short statement. "We regret the personal breakdown between family members." No one bought it. I didn't respond. Not with words. Instead, I opened a browser and finalized the setup of my scholarship fund. The Quiet Builder Grant, awarded annually to one student who's been told they're too much or not enough. The first recipient? A kid from my old neighborhood. Her teacher nominated her after she refused to let her science fair project be credited to her male lab partner. I mailed the acceptance letter with a sticky note attached. Build louder. That night, while updating the foundation's website, I saw it. An old draft of a letter I never sent. A message to myself, written months ago when I was still in that motel room, counting coins and wondering if anyone would ever hear me. It read, "They don't have to believe you yet. You're still allowed to speak." I left it there, unedited, because I had spoken, and the world had listened. Later, as I packed up for the day, the doorbell rang. It was a courier. Again, no return address. Just an envelope. Inside, a handwritten letter. From Camille. Only 5 words. "I see you. I'm sorry." No signature. No request for response. I sat down. Didn't cry. Didn't forgive. But this time, I didn't feel erased. Just done. I folded the letter, placed it between the pages of an old notebook, and whispered to the empty room. "I don't need to be seen anymore. I already left the light on." Then I turned off the lamp, locked the office, and walked out into a night that finally felt like mine. I didn't win with revenge. I won with truth, and now I live in peace, in a life I built with my own hands and my own name. The silence they once used to erase me now echoes with everything I've created. What I've learned is simple. Silence doesn't heal betrayal, voice does. No matter how long it takes, the ones who erase others will always face the weight of what they tried to bury. Dignity isn't something you're given. It's what you reclaim. Have you ever been dismissed, overlooked, or told to stay quiet for the sake of peace? Share your story in the comments because sometimes naming the pain is the first step to healing it. And if you've ever built something they said you weren't worthy of, your time is now. Let them hear you.